Kentucky Utilities announced that they're going to be adding 2 new charging stations to the public vehicle charging network. An announcement that they're not only excited to share, but they feel is essential to Kentucky's growing presence in the electric vehicle community.
We try to make sure that our customers have access to these charging stations. You know, we have 20 or so now, and we're adding more, but there are a lot of charging stations across the state, more than 280. And they keep growing every day.
The new stations will be located at Lake Cumberland Tourist Commission in Russell Springs and Norton Healthcare Sports and Learning Center in Louisville. Both stations will additionally be level 3 charging stations, meaning that depending on the make and model, cars could be charged in as quick as 15 minutes.
EVs are growing every day. We have more than 4 dozen types of electric vehicles that are hitting the market in the next 3 years. And so there's a big demand for charging stations, and we're trying to make sure that they're out there for folks.
Kentucky's Cabinet of Economic Development cites over $10 billion being newly invested into electric vehicle projects, as the state currently holds the #1 spot for producer of cars per capita in the U.S.
As the vehicle population, the EV vehicles grow, charging stations will continue to grow too.
KU hopes the addition of these charging stations will not only benefit the state, but also keep up with Kentucky's quick-growing electric vehicle marketplace. In Lexington, Alexa Minton, WKYT.